In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. I am Emanuel Rose, and today I'm looking forward to my conversation with Melissa Reeve, who is a leader in the integration of artificial intelligence within business environments. Melissa specializes in helping enterprises navigate the complexity of AI adoption, focusing on aligning people, processes, and roles to ensure sustainable success. She's the architect of the Hyperadaptive Model, a data-driven approach that allows organizations to scale their AI practices effectively. With a rich background as a former VP of marketing at Scaled Agile, Melissa is adept at guiding teams through transformative change. I am so excited to have this conversation and to see what is going on with other people's clients in the transition from legacy business to AI business. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining me today.
What a pleasure to be here today with you. I can't wait for our conversation.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, talk to me a little bit about the book and what went into designing your core processes and then writing the book and then getting it out into the world.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I like to say that I woke up at 2 a.m. in the morning and on December 15th, 2024, and I just started scribbling on 5x7 note cards. So super old school.
Love it.
But it was the culmination of thinking that goes way back, right? I like to say it started on the factory floor of Tokyo in 1995 when I was studying the Toyota production system.
Oh, I love it. You're a Demings person then.
I am a Demings person. Absolutely. Yeah. We got to go back to process reengineering.
Love it.
And so that was a common thread, even though I have this deep career in marketing. It's also like marketing and process. So Agile marketing was geeking out on that and running the Agile Marketing Alliance when I had my ChatGPT moment, like we all have this moment, right?
Yeah.
And so I had that moment and I realized this changes everything. Yeah. And what I envisioned was what I was calling at the time automated execution pipelines. Mm-hmm. And it was this notion that a campaign could happen autonomously from start to finish. And I thought, well, what else sounds like that? Like, what else have we automated? And I turned, of all things, to this concept of DevOps, mm-hmm. which is the automation of the software delivery pipeline. And I thought this is going to happen everywhere, right? In marketing and finance and legal. And so I started to conceptualize this model and bring together all of these frameworks that I had been learning over time.
Love it.
Yeah, whether it was Clayton Christensen or Peter Senge and the Learning Organization. Yeah. And then I layered in the research from these organizations who are way out in front of AI. And they're quite surprising organizations like Unilever, JP Morgan. And I came up with what I call the Hyperadaptive Model. And what the model does is it takes organizations from where they are today and says, how do you iteratively and incrementally start moving the organization to become more AI native?
Right. I love it. Oh, and so what's step one in that process, Melissa?
Oh, well, I appreciate the question. Yeah, because where do you start? That's what we're all asking. Yeah. And, everybody has their own starting point, but I think it's really important to lay the foundation. And that foundation starts to look like things like your AI North Star. So this is a show for marketers. let's talk about marketing. So if you are a marketer and you have a marketing team or you're part of a marketing team, do you know what your AI North Star is? Like, why are you integrating AI into your marketing? Is it to grow the business? Is it to generate more leads? Is it to create a better customer experience? And I don't know about you, but I see a lot of people playing around with AI without having that North Star. What do you see?
Well, I think, and I support that, right? Like we want people to get in there and mess around and like look for recipes for chicken and
Yeah,
plan a trip to Boulder, Colorado, right? But
yeah.
then at some point you got to say, all right, well, let's how do professionals use this, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think why that AI North Star is so important is because of the volume of use cases. I mean, that we
Hmm.
can use this, especially generative AI, for everything from chicken recipes to planning travel
Yeah,
to coming up with a blog post, and it can be, quite frankly, overwhelming. And so what we're trying to do with that North Star is we're trying to align people to a business goal so that we can see measurable outcomes uh, over just like okay, well we could create 400 blogs in a short amount of time, but that
yeah.
won't necessarily move the needle.
Right. And so what I say is I ask people to say, what are you not good at? What do
Mhm.
you not like doing? Or what do you just need help with in order to be released to go and do some more high value things, right? At least
Mhm.
let's start there with some use cases. Those are the little things, but that's not necessarily the North Star that you're talking about.
Well, right, and so then another framework that I introduced in the book is this notion called that I like to call focus, and it's just a mnemonic,
Yeah.
and it stands for so the F is for fit. You know, does it fit strategically? You know,
Yeah.
is it a chicken recipe or does it actually help you create more blogs?
Right.
And then the second is organizational pull. So if you're going to do something beyond just generative AI,
Hmm.
like, is it going to be impactful for the organization? Will people actually use it? Can it be reused, or is it just a one-off type of thing?
Yeah.
Then the C stands for capability. So I've run into marketing teams and they're like, well, we're going to automate our entire content generation process.
Right.
And they try and engage IT, and IT is like, this is a year-long process,
Yeah.
right? No
Yeah.
way. You're taking no. Like, we don't have those capabilities.
Yeah.
U is the underlying data. Do we have access to it? Is it clean? And then S is success metrics. Can we actually measure the impact of what we're trying to do?
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. That's nice and tidy. Um, and I think it is interesting when you start getting into projects, and then people get lost in the weeds of the tactics, and they have
Mhm.
forgotten which forest they're in, right? And
That's right. Yeah, and we've all been there. And these AIs, they just keep going and going and going, right? The rabbit holes are deep.
yeah, and so well, tell me about just one of the projects that you're involved in that you're really excited about or found really stimulating for yourself.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about what I'm seeing over and over, which is the widening gap. And I
Mhm.
think it's either like a bifurcation or a trifurcation.
Yeah,
And it's
love it.
those power users, right? The people who are really leaning in. And then we have the people who are maybe in denial for whatever reason, like I don't
Yes.
like AI or, I don't want to use it. And then there's like the middle group of people who's like just needs a compelling reason to maybe lean in
Yeah.
or needs help with that starting point. And some of the organizations that I'm working with are struggling with that bi/trifurcation. And I like to say that AI learning is social learning, meaning that it's a little bit different than our traditional classroom learning. And the reason is because AI is moving so fast. If you were to develop a curriculum around it, and maybe you've got a curriculum, there are a few static pieces around AI, like what it can and can't do well, and like how to use it generally.
Yeah.
But in terms of the capabilities, those are changing so quickly, and everybody's at a different level. It's kind of hard to teach this in a classroom setting. I love, what do you have going on the screen right now? I love it.
Well, and it just is. I'm actually putting together an SOP workshop for one of my clients, so we can get their people on the upward curve instead of on the AI resistant curve. And so this was a graph that I saw that a consultant had put together from one of their deployments with like a $500 million a year company. Said,
Yeah.
here's the 10% of the staff who are
Mm.
digging in are becoming 10x capable, 10x
Mhm.
amount of work compared to the people who were the knowledge resistant people on the
Well,
team.
that's exactly it. And
Yeah.
so I like to cite PricewaterhouseCoopers, who
Mhm.
did something called prompting parties. And
Oh, cool. I
which
love
is
that.
cool, right?
Yeah.
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 And not only it sounds like fun, it sounds like there's going to be
Huh.
pizza at these prompting parties.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
right.
Yeah.
But it also is the key to the prompting party is
Um,
that you get prompting with those people who are in similar roles or have similar tasks to you.
yeah.
And then you're able to exchange prompts, you're able to exchange use cases, what's working, what's not working, and really start to bring those AI resistant workers that you just called out up and more aligned with those AI fluent workers. But when you think about what's happening there, you are reserving dedicated time for that learning to happen.
Right.
And what I'm seeing organizations where I see them fail is they're failing to carve out that time outside of maybe a one-time workshop, and
Yeah.
that's just not enough. Things are moving too fast.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And then for me, it's like it's prompting, custom GPTs, and then
Mhm.
your workflows, right? Like if we can
Yeah,
just get people in those three activities, connected to their North Star, then we really have the potential to move into an AI fluent organization. What do you
that's
think
right.
about that?
Yeah, well, and I'm glad you brought up workflows because I feel like people are just starting to get on to the workflows. And there's really two layers to the workflows. One is, mapping out your existing workflow.
Mhm.
And you just talked about Deming, we talked about process reengineering. Like
Yeah.
where is the waste today? Where are those wait states?
Yep.
Because even though AI can, like, I keep referring to the blogs, but make that blog, 10x faster or 20x faster, if it's going to sit in somebody's inbox for approval, and you
Yeah.
still have all those handoffs of, like, now we need graphic design and now we need to prove it. Like, we're the productivity gains, we're increasing the quality, right? We're
Yep.
increasing the output, but until we really deal with some of those wait states, we're not going to really see overall productivity start to soar.
Yeah, that's a great point. And about yeah, always about connecting up so that the whole process is complete and that something
Yeah.
actually gets delivered, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and then the second layer of that workflow is, are you going to augment the workflow, right? Like, are you gonna inject AI into the workflow, which I think is where most people are, and logically so, or
Yeah.
are we gonna reinvent the workflow
Yeah.
to accommodate AI's new capabilities? And that's something else entirely, right?
Yeah, and even I mean, I'm saying to people, like, especially legacy businesses, I mean, automation is fine. We don't have to get an LLM involved here. Sometimes
Mm,
just adding a Zap or a Make tool
yeah.
to a workflow is totally adequate. So let's not
Mhm.
get so seduced by the shiny thing that we forget what the outcome is we're looking to produce.
For sure. Yeah.
Um, so what kind of industries are you working in? I know you said you had the Toyota in the beginning, but
Mhm.
where's your comfort zone now, Melissa?
Well, I think it's across industries. It's not really AI is not industry specific, and
Sure.
it's funny, there's a lot of chatter out there like, oh, well, we can't use it because we're a bank, or we can't use it because we're this or that. But
Yeah.
to be honest, in the book, I profiled companies from a wide range of industries, right? JP
Yeah.
Morgan in financial services, Siemens in manufacturing, Toyota in manufacturing, healthcare. The Cleveland Clinic has some really cool things going. Johns Hopkins has some cool things going. So I don't know if there's leading industries, I have seen some of the reports that say, I think healthcare and what is it, finance is in there. There
Yeah,
are a few
usually
industries that
the regulated industries, right? They deal with
Mhm.
the most layers of government oppression.
Yeah. And commodities, if you're a bank, it's really competitive because you're basically a commodity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think what I'm seeing in the next few years is that agents are going to replace software.
Mm.
What do you think about that premise?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we saw in DevOps, right? As the software delivery pipeline, and just for the marketers in the audience who may not be familiar with the software delivery pipeline, the way it used to be is you'd have a team of coders who'd build the code, then they'd have a separate team that tested the code, then you'd have another team that essentially deployed the code, and there were handoffs and a lot of back and forth and delays and miscommunications across that pipeline. What DevOps does is it automates it. So, for example, companies like Amazon, a traditional company might deploy in the beginning, like a couple times a year. Maybe they're up to a couple times a month.
Yeah.
Amazon deploys 23,000 times a day. So, like, you can just see an order of magnitude. But what we saw there is that people went from doing the work to building, monitoring, and maintaining the machines doing the work.
Right.
And I do believe that same transition will happen. Is if you are an editor right now, everybody's like, oh, they're going to, what happens to editors? ChatGPT can edit. Well, no, you need the guardrails.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so they should be monitoring and maintaining the editorial guardrails that a custom GPT or an agent is using in order to deliver that output.
Yeah, I agree. I think the human in the loop is going to continue to be essential,
Mhm.
and we at some point, like I've built a number of agents where I'm looking at reports and I can tell from the report if everything's going correctly, but then you got to also go back to the original instructions to make sure that the agent didn't change his own or her own goals and plans and rewrite themselves, right? Because that
Yeah.
also happens.
Yeah, there's drift. And, if you think it's you're knee deep in agents, like how many times have you had to adjust those agents? Have models changed? It's ongoing, isn't it?
It really is, and sometimes I'm like, these things are so stupid, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the best problem I've ever had in my entire career.
Right?
One thing that I'm interested to hear from you is how you're coaching organizations on the change management portion, because I think
Mm.
that's the biggest gap in all these technological changes we've seen over our careers.
Yeah. So we talked about the AI North Star in marketing, and then there's a companion to that, which I call your philosophical stance,
Mhm.
which is like, what do you believe about AI? And there's so many leaders out there who are just talking about the productivity gains, or we're going to have to reduce staff. And to me, that's not helpful.
Right.
It's it's not really a helpful stance. And quite honestly, besides it being toxic, I think if your only goal is to reduce headcount, there's some other organization who says, well, I want to keep my headcount the same and see if we can 2x or 3x.
Yeah. Right.
And that's your competition.
Yeah, for sure.
So decide and communicate internally. Again, what are we doing with AI? Are we, as a company, trying to grow? Are we trying to create the best customer experience? Like what is it that we can coalesce around? And I like to pull on Moderna for
Mm,
this example, because they said we're going to release 15 drugs in 5 years
okay.
with the help of AI.
Right.
And that's in an industry where it typically takes 10 years to release one drug.
Yeah. And just for the trials, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you think about that as an AI North Star, as your philosophical stance, all of a sudden, everybody in the organization knows why they're using AI. They know what it means
Mhm.
to them.
Yeah.
They know what they're supposed to be doing with it. And in terms of the change management, I mean, there's other things we can talk about for sure, but
Yeah.
I think it all starts there.
Yeah, I like that. I think that internally for my team, that's what I've said is, here's this group, there's 8 of us. we are going to be the ones who do this and figure out how to automate absolutely everything that we can automate and see if we can triple the size of the agency and with the same size team, right?
Uh-huh.
And hopefully using less human time also.
Yeah, how cool is that? And then for the larger organizations who are dealing with the change, there is a system that's pretty tried and true in terms of rolling out new initiatives. So we take those power users that we talked about and we turn those into our AI leads. I see a lot of organizations doing that. And what they're missing is systematic support for those individuals. So they don't have a program, like a formal program to support those people to say, here's how you create social contagion. Here's how you create that learning contagion. Here's how you bring and win the hearts and minds of your peers. Because of course, those peers, like peer-to-peer persuasion goes a lot farther than a top-down, like some leader just saying, you shalt and thou must.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, and I do love the kind of the strike team approach for the implementation. I think that is interesting, but I do like this idea of supporting them structurally in order to continue to have them get the training they need to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just wrote an article that talked about how in the 1990s, where I remember this, the PC was being rolled out, and alongside of it, we built up these IT departments and help desks. Well, what happens in today's world when your AI starts to hallucinate or drift? Who do you call? Like, we haven't brought up the infrastructure to support it yet.
And especially if it's shadow AI and you're not supposed to be using that tool, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's a whole nother episode, isn't it?
It sure is. Well, Melissa, I really enjoyed both of our conversations, and I appreciate your time to talk about your book. And if people want to get in touch with you or get the book, Hyperadaptive, how do they reach out and find you?
Yeah, the URL is hyperadaptive.solutions. And of course, LinkedIn, Melissa Reeve is always a great place to find me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and your insight. And I'm really, really happy that you're out there proselytizing how to rewire enterprises to become AI native.
Thanks so much for having me on the show.
All right. Have a great evening.
You too.
I love that idea that you want to not only have your early adopters from your company participating in the transition, but then also that you're providing support for them. And I think I'm gonna steal this prompting party. I'm gonna turn it also into an agent party, and we're gonna start having some parties once a month. So look out for those invitations. I hope you found this episode enjoyable. I sure did. I enjoyed talking to Melissa Reeve, and it's inspiring to see how other companies are integrating AI and making good use of it. I hope you continue to do your research and find ways for AI to get some time back in your work week, and with that time, that you continue to upskill, that you spend it with your friends and family, and that you get outside into nature away from the screens. This is Emanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.